Okay guys, so as promised, I'm going to work out the worksheet. Okay, so pay close attention, and I'm going to try and point you back to the formulas that I'm using as well. Okay, so my sheet is green in this video, but yours is the yellow sheet. Same stuff, same information, okay? Nothing different here. Okay, so first section says, hey, sum and difference formulas. So use those to find the exact value for these questions, right? So if I take a look at this and I say, hey, sine, cosine, cosine, sine, that pattern is going to be right here in my sum and difference formulas. Since this is plus, top sign over here, right? The top one says plus, so I need to use plus over here as well. So this is going to be sine A plus B. So what are A and B here, right? Well, I can say A is 18 and B is 11 over 18, right? So if we just fill this in. Now we do need to simplify this. We need to combine these two together. And that's going to give you 12 over 18. And if you just plugged in 12 over 18 into your calculator, you'll get that it's 2 pi over 3. Now, where do we find out what sine of 2 pi over 3 is? Well, we look at our unit circle, right? Go to 2 pi over 3 and say sine is my y value. So I know you guys can't see it super well here, but it is 1/2, right? Or sorry, root 3 over 2 is y value. So the answer to this is going to be square root 3 over 2, okay? Now, very similar process with this one. I'm trying to zoom in a little bit. Make it easy to see. Okay. So if we take a look at this next one, this time I've got cosine, cosine plus sine, sine. Okay. That formula is going to be cosine A minus B. Again, looking at that same section on the formula chart. So we've got cosine 143 minus 53. It's going to be cosine 90, which is just going to end up being 0. Okay, so again, exact values, we have to look at the unit circle. Okay, so when you see this statement, you know this is coming from the unit circle. Okay, so now let's keep moving, right? Let's take a look at the next one. Well, this one's different. Instead of having something that's been broken into pieces already, I have something I need to break into pieces, right? 345, not on the unit circle. But if I think of this as cosine 300 plus 45, I can use my sum and difference formula. I already gave you what A and B were, right? I actually went through and told you what it was. So if we come here, I can fill in A and B right here, and that will set up my formula. So I'm going to end up with cosine 300 cosine 45 minus sine 300 sine 45. Well, now what? I have these broken into pieces that I can find on the unit circle. So what we can do now is go to our unit circle and start looking up what these values are. If we look up what these are, we're going to get that this cosine is 1/2. This will be root 2 over 2 minus square root 3 over 2. That's going to be negative, actually. And root 2 over 2. Now, if I start to simplify this, these are going to multiply. These are going to multiply. And I'm going to get root 2 over 4 minus negative root 6 over 4. These are going to cancel out. And I'm going to kind of jump up here with my final answer. I just grouped them on a single fraction bar. Okay? Boom. And we've got our answer. Okay? So very similar for number 4, right? Except this time we've got slightly different angles, right? Our setup is in radians. Okay? So if we set it up, we can say sine pi over 4 minus pi over 6, and use the formula again to break this down, okay? So we've got sine pi over 4 cosine pi over 6 it's minus cosine pi over 4 sine pi over 6. So again, we'll go to our unit circle and let me cut this off so you guys can kind of tell where I'm working. Root 2 over 2, this is going to be square root 3 over 2 minus root 2 over 2, and this will be 1/2. So this time, your answer looks very similar to the previous question, but again, when you simplify it, you should get square root 6 over 4 minus root 2 over 4. And you can combine that into a single fraction, right? It's a little messy. Okay, all right, let's keep moving. So the next section is actually a really easy section, okay? It says sum and difference formulas to simplify, right? We are just rewriting or condensing, right? All we do is we match this up with one of our sum and difference formulas. Ooh, look, that tangent formula right there. And say, hey, this is going to end up equaling tangent 5x minus 2x, which is just tangent 3x. Same thing over here, right? This time we've got, these are going to be plus. This matches up with sine A plus B. Again, A and B are these. So we've got sine 5v plus 6v, which is just sine 11v, right? Make sure you bring the variable with it. It doesn't make sense if you don't have the variable, all right? Cool. Next, another easy set, guys. Okay, double angle formulas to simplify. We're just rewriting using the formula. Okay, now I know this one was missing the 2, so I'll fix that. But 1 minus 2 sine theta is going to be sine 2 theta. All right, oops, I lied. That's not sine 2 theta. That's cosine 2 theta. Remember to read your formula chart, guys. If we look at this and we say theta is 4, well, 2 theta is just going to be 8. It's cosine 8. Bam. Okay. Now, next one, different formula, but same process, right? This is 2 sine theta cosine theta equals sine 2 theta. It's actually sine this time. So when I say theta is 3x, so 2 theta is going to be 6x, sine 6x, right? All right. Let's go to the back, right? Back is kind of the part where we have to really think, okay? So for these questions where we're given information and have to figure out what they are, what the ratio is, right? Sine 2 theta is. We need to draw a triangle first with the information that we're given, okay? So let's use what we know. So I'm given a cosine value. So my triangle is between 90 and 180 degrees, okay? So to be between these two, we're gonna have to be in this quadrant right here, okay? And cosine is negative 3 over 5. Now that is x over r, or adjacent over hypotenuse, right? So we can say this is negative 3 and this is 5. Remember your radius, that r value is never negative, okay? So we use Pythagorean theorem, negative 3 squared plus y squared equals 5 squared. And if you solve this, you're going to get y equals 4, okay? So that's how we get down here. So with this information, with this triangle, I'm going to build sine 2 theta. Now, double angle formula tells me sine 2 theta is 2 sine theta cosine theta, okay? So again, that's the double angle formula because it's got that 2 theta in there. So this is 2 sine theta cosine theta, okay? And if we come to the triangle, sine theta is just going to be 4 divided by 5, okay? It is the opposite side over the hypotenuse, or y over r, okay? And cosine is going to end up being negative 3 over 5. So once you've got this, you just multiply these fractions together, multiply by 2, right? Remember that's like 2 over 1. And you're going to get 24 over 25, and it's negative. Okay, and that's what sine 2 theta ends up being. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Again, triangle construction, guys. Triangles are key here. Okay, so this time I'm given a tangent, which is y over x, and they told me again what quadrant I'm in. 90 and 180 is giving me quadrant 2. Okay, so we'll go ahead and set up and solve for the whole triangle. Okay, now if we start by filling in this whole triangle, we can easily solve this question. Okay, so sorry, some technical issues with my video. So let's go ahead and fill in this triangle. We know this is negative 5 and 12. Again, this is negative going to the left, 12 is positive going upwards. Now, if I use Pythagorean theorem again, this is 13. Now, tangent 2 theta, again, double angle formula right here. Tangent 2 theta is 2 tangent theta over 1 minus tangent squared theta. Now, the cool thing is we don't even have to look at this because tangent was given to us right here. 2 negative 12 over 5 over 1 minus negative 12 over 5 squared. Now, you can take that and plug it in your calculator, and when you do, it should give you 120 over 119. Okay. That's coming from here. Okay. So again, you take this, you plug it in your calculator, it'll spit out an answer. It's a little ugly looking fraction, but that's just what it is. All right. Cool. Let's take a look at the last one. All right. Last one, number 11. Now this is probably the hardest one on the worksheet, and your test does not have a sum and difference identity like this. Okay. But what we need to note is we're going to draw triangles, but this time we need 2 triangles. We're going to have triangle A and triangle B. So if we draw these out, okay, and you can follow with me, we've got, again, between pi over 2 and pi, here's pi over 2, here's pi. We've got that triangle, triangle A, and negative 5, 13. This is a pretty familiar triangle by this point. We've done this one a couple times. This is 12. Okay, it's actually the same triangle as number 10. Okay, and if we draw triangle B, we've got in quadrant 4, tangent is negative 3 and 4 here, y over x. So if I solve this, I'm going to get 5. And we can set up the formula for cosine b plus a. And I know it says b plus a even though it could be a plus b. Same thing really. Cosine b cosine a minus sine b cosine a. Alright? And what we do is, again, we're not going to go to the unit circle or anything. We're going to these triangles and we're going to fill this information in based on what we know from this triangle. Okay, so triangle B, cosine B, is going to be 4 over 5. Then we've got cosine A, negative 5 over 12, or sorry, over 13, minus sine B is going to be negative 3 over 5, and cosine A, this time we've got negative 5 over, oops, sorry, that should have been sine A. So this will be 12 over 13. Okay, now we can go ahead and start doing the math for this. We'll get, this is going to be negative 20 over 65 minus negative 36 So we get 61 over 65, I believe, when we do all of this. Yes, that should be right. 61 over 65. All right. And finally, we can continue on to the last problem, which we're setting up the same way, okay? Nothing different here. Once we've got our values, we're just going to fill in our pieces, right? So formula sets up as sine A cosine B minus cosine A sine B. So sine A is going to be 12 over 13. Cosine B is going to be 4 over 5. Minus cosine A will be negative 5 over 13. And sine B will be negative 3 over 5. So now I've got 48 over 65 minus negative 15 over 65. Those become a plus, and we're going to end up with 63 out of 65, something like this. All right. And so these are the solutions. Oops, I was totally cutting that off. My bad. This is, again, the setup with the formula. Go find it from the triangles, and then go ahead and multiply it out and add them together. Okay. All right. So that is the solutions to the worksheet. Okay. I'm going to post this in the hopes that it will help you study for your tests. Remember, guys, happy studying and good luck.